What if the people who hurt you most are the ones who call you family? You are taught to endure, to forgive endlessly, to tolerate what slowly erodes your dignity. When harm comes from family, confusion follows. You question your memory, your emotions, your judgment. You stay quiet, not because it feels right, but because guilt feels familiar. Stoicism names this clearly. Loyalty to suffering is not virtue. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that you don't have to turn every wound into an identity. You are allowed to observe, to step back, and to choose restraint over reaction. Blood does not cancel character. Love does not demand self-betrayal. In this video, we'll examine 7 toxic behaviors you should never tolerate, not even from family. Not to provoke anger or encourage isolation, but to restore clarity, self-respect, and inner order. Stay with me. This isn't rebellion, it's discipline. Choose peace over obligation. These boundaries feel uncomfortable, but they protect your future self. 1. Disrespect disguised as jokes. It rarely begins with cruelty. It begins with laughter, with a comment framed as humor, with a remark that cuts just enough to make you hesitate. They smile as they say it, so you question yourself. You're told you're too sensitive, too serious, unable to take a joke, and because it comes from family, you feel pressure to accept it. You laugh along, not because it's funny, but because resistance feels like conflict. Over time, those jokes don't stay light. They settle, they repeat, they reshape how you see yourself. Disrespect disguised as humor works because it traps you in a double bind. If you object, you're accused of overreacting. If you stay quiet, the behavior continues unchecked. What starts as teasing becomes a pattern. What becomes a pattern turns into the unspoken rule of the relationship. Stoicism draws a clear line here. Marcus Aurelius warned that the greatest damage is done not to the body, but to the character. Repeated mockery trains the mind to accept erosion as normal. It conditions you to shrink little by little, while calling it love. Many families normalize this. Sarcasm is tradition. Humiliation is bonding. But Stoicism does not respect customs that violate virtue. Familiarity never outranks dignity. Blood does not excuse behavior that corrodes character. You don't need to argue. You don't need to defend your feelings. You don't need to explain. The Stoic response is quiet and firm. You stop participating. You remove the laughter that rewards the behavior. You let silence replace engagement, and if the pattern persists, you reduce access. Less presence, less availability, less permission. This isn't punishment, it's order. When disrespect disappears the moment it stops being tolerated, it reveals what it always was. Control wearing a smile. You can love people without offering yourself as a target. You can stay calm without staying exposed. If a joke costs you your self-respect, it was never harmless. Dignity is not negotiable. Not for peace. Not for tradition. Not even for family. 2. Guilt as a tool of control. It doesn't sound aggressive. It sounds emotional. It sounds sacrificial. It sounds like love asking to be repaid. After everything I've done for you. All I ever wanted was what's best. I guess I just don't matter to you anymore. Guilt-based control works because it turns emotions into obligations. You're no longer choosing freely. You're responding to an invisible debt that can never be fully paid. The more you give, the more is expected. The moment you hesitate, you're accused of being selfish, ungrateful, or disloyal. This is one of the most powerful tools used inside families because it hides behind history. Past sacrifices are brought into the present as leverage. Love is reframed as a transaction. Care becomes currency, and your autonomy quietly disappears. Stoicism draws a sharp distinction here. You are responsible for your actions, not for managing someone else's emotional ledger. Epictetus taught that no one can force you to feel guilt without your consent. Guilt only works when you accept responsibility for emotions that are not yours to carry. Healthy love gives freely and releases freely. Manipulative love gives with strings and tightens them when you try to move. It doesn't ask, it reminds. It doesn't invite, it pressures. And it rarely states demands directly. Instead, it lets you punish yourself on its behalf. The danger isn't just emotional discomfort. It's erosion of choice. When guilt controls you, decisions stop reflecting your values and start reflecting your fear of disappointing others. Over time, you lose clarity, you confuse peace with compliance, you confuse love with obligation. The Stoic response is not confrontation, it is pause. It is naming the mechanism. It is refusal to accept emotional debt. You don't argue the past. You don't justify your present. You don't negotiate your future. You simply act from principle. I understand you feel that way. And then you choose what aligns with your values anyway. This feels cold at first because you've been trained to equate guilt with goodness. But Stoicism teaches something quieter and stronger. Virtue is not obedience. Integrity is not self-sacrifice without limits. You can care deeply and still decline control. Notice the pattern. Guilt appears when boundaries appear. Pressure rises when autonomy rises. That tells you everything you need to know. You're not rejecting love by refusing guilt. You're rejecting manipulation. And when guilt no longer works, one of two things happens. The relationship adjusts to reality, or it reveals what it was built on. Either way, you regain something essential. Choice. Love that demands repayment is not love. It is leverage. 3. Chronic boundary violations. It often feels subtle at first. Your time is assumed. Your space is entered without asking. Your decisions are treated as suggestions. They don't ask if you're available. They inform you. They don't respect your no. They ignore it, revisit it, or override it. And because it's family, the behavior is framed as closeness, concern, or entitlement disguised as care. Chronic boundary violations work by normalizing intrusion. The message is quiet but constant. Your life is not fully yours. Your schedule, your priorities, even your choices are open for negotiation, just not by you. Over time, this creates a low-grade tension that never resolves. You feel drained without knowing why, resentful without permission to name it. Stoicism approaches this without anger or drama. It begins with a clear principle. Access must be earned, not assumed. No relationship, no matter how familiar, is exempt from structure. Order is not cruelty. Order is what allows respect to exist at all. Boundaries fail most often not because they're unclear, but because they're negotiated. Every explanation becomes an opening. Every justification becomes an invitation to debate. And debate is exactly what boundary violators want. Not resolution, control. The Stoic response is simple and disciplined. One sentence, no emotional charge, no defense. This doesn't work for me. I won't be doing that. I've already decided. And then consistency. No long follow-ups, no additional reasoning, no emotional cleanup. At first, this feels uncomfortable. You may be accused of changing, becoming distant, or being difficult. But discomfort is the price of order replacing chaos. Boundaries don't punish others. They clarify reality. When boundaries are enforced calmly, patterns reveal themselves quickly. Some people adjust. They learn where the line is and respect it. Others escalate. They test, push, guilt, or provoke. That reaction is information. Stoicism teaches you to read behavior, not words. A person who respects you does not require constant access to you. A person who cares does not resent your limits. When someone only values you without boundaries, what they valued was not you. It was availability. You're not required to make yourself smaller to preserve peace. Peace built on intrusion is not peace. It is exhaustion. You don't owe unlimited access to anyone. You owe yourself coherence. Boundaries are not rejection. They are definition. And without definition, nothing healthy can grow. 4. Gaslighting and reality distortion. It doesn't arrive as a direct attack. It arrives as doubt, as confusion, as a quiet rewriting of what you know you experienced. You're remembering it wrong. That never happened. You're making a big deal out of nothing. Gaslighting works by destabilizing your trust in yourself. Instead of addressing behavior, it questions your perception. Instead of accountability, it offers dismissal. Over time, you stop relying on your memory. You hesitate before speaking. You second-guess emotions that once felt clear. The goal is not disagreement. The goal is control through confusion. This dynamic is especially dangerous in families, where history is shared and authority is implied. When reality is distorted by someone close to you, the damage goes deeper. You don't just feel misunderstood, you feel ungrounded. And an ungrounded person is easier to influence. Stoicism treats clarity as a form of protection. Marcus Aurelius warned against surrendering your judgment to others, especially those who benefit from your uncertainty. Your perception, when calm and examined, is not the enemy. It is your anchor. Gaslighting relies on repetition, the same denial, the same minimization, the same subtle suggestion that you're the problem. Stoicism does not ask you to argue with distortion. It asks you to step back and observe patterns. Truth reveals itself through consistency, not persuasion. The Stoic response begins internally. You write things down. You separate facts from interpretations. You notice what repeats. Not to build a case, not to win an argument, but to preserve orientation. When you document reality for yourself, distortion loses power. You no longer need agreement to remain steady. Externally, the response is restraint. You stop debating memory. You stop explaining impact. You stop seeking validation. I see it differently. And then silence. Gaslighting thrives on engagement. Every attempt to convince becomes fuel. Every emotional explanation becomes an opening for further distortion. Stoicism removes the fuel by refusing the arena. This can feel lonely at first. When someone denies your reality, you want to be understood. But Stoicism teaches a hard lesson. Not everyone is capable of honesty, and fewer are capable of accountability. Seeking clarity from someone invested in confusion is self-betrayal. Distance becomes necessary when distortion is persistent. Not dramatic distance, not angry withdrawal, but measured reduction of access. Less sharing, less vulnerability, less reliance. Clarity must be protected the same way peace is protected. Quietly, firmly. When someone repeatedly tells you not to trust your own mind, that is not misunderstanding. That is erosion. And erosion does not require confrontation. It requires containment. You don't need to prove the truth to someone committed to denying it. You need to stay aligned with it. Clarity is your shield, and shields are meant to be held, not argued over. 5. Conditional love and approval. It feels warm at first. You're praised when you agree, supported when you comply. Affectionate connection flows easily, as long as you stay in line. Then something shifts. The moment you choose differently, the tone changes. Warmth becomes distance. Approval becomes silence. Love is no longer freely given. It is withdrawn, rationed, or used as correction. Nothing is said directly, yet the message is unmistakable. Love is available only when you behave correctly. Conditional love trains you to perform. You learn which version of yourself is accepted and which is punished. Over time, your decisions stop coming from principle and start coming from anticipation. You anticipate disappointment. You anticipate withdrawal. And so you shape yourself to avoid it. In families, this is often framed as guidance or concern. I just want what's best for you. I'm worried about where this path leads. But concern becomes control when affection depends on obedience. Love becomes a lever instead of a bond. Stoicism is uncompromising here. Virtue is internal. Approval is external, and anything external cannot be the foundation of a stable life. Marcus Aurelius warned that when you hand your peace to the opinions of others, you surrender your sovereignty. Conditional love creates a false dilemma: belong or be yourself. But Stoicism rejects this entirely. A relationship that requires self-erasure to survive is not a relationship grounded in virtue. It is one grounded in fear. The cost is subtle but severe. You begin to self-edit. You delay decisions. You abandon clarity to preserve connection. Over time, resentment grows, not only toward them, but toward yourself. Because part of you knows the truth, you traded integrity for acceptance. The Stoic response is not confrontation. It is detachment from approval. You stop performing. You stop over-explaining. You stop negotiating your values for comfort. This does not mean becoming cold or dismissive. It means acting from principle regardless of reaction. You allow others to feel disappointment without rushing to fix it. You allow silence without filling it. You allow discomfort to exist without interpreting it as failure. At first, this feels brutal. When you've been conditioned to equate love with approval, withdrawal feels like loss. But Stoicism teaches endurance of discomfort in service of truth. Temporary tension is the price of long-term alignment. What happens next is revealing. Some relationships recalibrate. When control no longer works, respect emerges. Others collapse under the weight of reality. When love was conditional, removing conditions removes the relationship. Both outcomes bring clarity. You are never meant to be loved for compliance. You are meant to be respected for character. If love must be earned by obedience, it is not love. It is management. And Stoicism does not build a life around being managed. 6. Normalizing abuse as family culture. It's often said casually, "That's just how our family is. We've always been like this." You know they don't mean it. These phrases are powerful because they end conversations before they begin. Harm is reframed as heritage. Disrespect becomes tradition, and any attempt to question it is labeled as oversensitivity or betrayal. The behavior is no longer examined. It's inherited. When abuse is normalized as culture, it gains protection. Patterns are excused instead of addressed. Accountability is replaced with familiarity. You're not asked whether something is right or wrong, only whether you're willing to tolerate it like everyone else did. Stoicism rejects this logic entirely. Endurance without awareness is not virtue. Marcus Aurelius warned against blindly following customs that corrode character. Tradition has no moral authority on its own. Only virtue does. Family culture often survives, not because it is healthy, but because it is unchallenged. Silence becomes consent. Participation becomes endorsement. And those who suffer quietly are praised as strong, while those who step back are criticized as difficult. The danger is not just personal harm, it's transmission. What is tolerated gets repeated. What is excused gets passed down. And the cycle continues under the illusion of loyalty. The Stoic response is not rebellion, it is non-participation. You don't argue with the culture, you don't shame the past, you don't demand change. You simply stop playing your assigned role. You refuse to laugh at what harms. You decline situations that require self-betrayal. You remove yourself when behavior crosses your line. This quiet refusal feels unsettling at first. You may be told you've changed, that you've become distant, that you're breaking the family apart. But Stoicism teaches that harmony built on harm is false unity. It is cohesion without conscience. Non-participation is powerful because it exposes reality without words. When you step out of dysfunction, the system loses one of its supports. Some will feel threatened, others will feel relieved, but afraid to admit it. You're not responsible for preserving unhealthy systems. You're responsible for preserving your character. Stoicism does not ask you to carry the weight of history on your back. It asks you to live rightly in the present. Breaking a cycle does not require confrontation. It requires clarity. You can honor where you came from without repeating its damage. You can respect your family without inheriting its wounds. Tradition deserves respect only when it aligns with virtue. Everything else is habit, and habits can be changed, starting with your participation. 7. Punishing you for growth. It begins the moment you change, not loudly, not dramatically, just enough to no longer fit the role you once played. You speak less, you react less, you choose differently, and suddenly, something feels off. The same people who once felt comfortable around you now feel tense. Conversations tighten, jokes turn sharper. Your decisions are questioned, not out of curiosity, but suspicion. You haven't attacked anyone. You haven't announced your growth, yet resistance appears anyway. This happens because growth disrupts invisible agreements. Every family system runs on unspoken rules. Who leads? Who adapts? Who absorbs tension? When you grow, you stop performing one of those functions. And systems built on emotional predictability experience that as a threat. Punishment for growth rarely looks like open aggression. It is subtle, social, psychological. Your ambition is framed as arrogance. Your boundaries are labeled selfishness. Your calm is interpreted as distance or coldness. You're accused of changing, as if change itself were a betrayal. Stoicism does not see this as personal. Marcus Aurelius observed that people are disturbed not by events, but by their judgments about them. Your growth forces others to confront something uncomfortable, the gap between who they are and who they might have become. Rather than face that tension, many choose to redirect it toward you. This is why growth often triggers mockery. A sarcastic comment here, a dismissive tone there, a reminder of who you used to be. The goal is not to understand you, it is to pull you back into alignment with the old system. When humor fails, guilt appears. When guilt fails, withdrawal follows. Approval becomes conditional again, not because you've done something wrong, but because you've stopped being convenient. The danger is subtle. When punishment appears, many people instinctively shrink. You soften your boundaries, you downplay your progress, you reassure others that you're still the same. And in doing so, you reverse your own momentum. Stoicism warns against this reflex. Peace maintained by self-reduction is not peace, it is compliance. Growth requires friction. The absence of friction usually means stagnation. When no one resists your evolution, it often means you haven't disrupted anything meaningful. Resistance is not proof you are wrong. It is often proof you are no longer controlled. The Stoic response is restraint, not retaliation. You do not argue about your growth. You do not defend your choices. You do not explain your boundaries repeatedly. Explanation invites negotiation. Negotiation invites erosion. Instead, you let consistency do the work. You continue showing up aligned with your values. You keep your routines. You protect your time. You act the same whether approval is present or withdrawn. Over time, this steadiness becomes undeniable. Silence becomes important here. Not passive silence, not fearful silence, but deliberate restraint. You stop feeding commentary with emotional energy. You stop correcting narratives that were never built on misunderstanding. You stop trying to be seen by those invested in keeping you small. This feels uncomfortable at first. Humans are social creatures. Rejection activates old survival instincts. When affection is withdrawn, your body interprets it as danger. Stoicism trains you to endure this sensation without surrendering your direction. Discomfort is not damage. It is information. Distance often becomes necessary during growth, especially from those who punish it. This does not mean cutting everyone off. It means adjusting access, less vulnerability, less emotional exposure, less availability for critique disguised as concern. Stoicism values proximity wisely chosen. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to your development. Some people are only safe at a distance. This is not judgment, it is discernment. One of the hardest realizations during growth is discovering that some relationships were sustained by your compliance. When compliance ends, the relationship weakens. This can feel like loss. But Stoicism reframes it as clarity. You are not losing love, you are losing a role. Roles feel secure because they are familiar, but they suffocate character. When you stop playing the role, reactions reveal truth. Some people adjust, they recalibrate. When they realize you are not returning to your former self, respect slowly replaces resistance. Others escalate. They criticize more, they guilt more, they withdraw more. That escalation is not accidental. It is a final attempt to restore control. Stoicism teaches you not to respond to escalation with explanation. You respond with steadiness. You let consequences exist without rushing to soften them. You allow relationships to become quieter if that is what alignment requires. This is where many people falter. They confuse silence with abandonment. They confuse distance with cruelty. But Stoicism is not sentimental. It is precise. It asks one question: does this relationship support virtue or undermine it? Growth requires solitude at times. Not isolation, not bitterness, but separation from noise. When you are building character, constant exposure to those who resist your evolution weakens resolve. Their doubt seeps in. The discomfort becomes contagious. Stoicism protects momentum by limiting exposure, not through hostility, but through choice. You are allowed to outgrow environments that cannot accommodate your discipline. This does not make you superior. It makes you responsible. The final test of growth is this: can you remain aligned when approval disappears? Can you continue forward when encouragement is replaced by silence? Can you tolerate being misunderstood without rushing to correct it? Stoicism says yes. You do not owe anyone the old version of you. You do not owe explanations for your becoming. Growth always exposes weak systems. Exposure is not aggression, it is illumination. Some will turn away from the light, others will adjust their eyes. Your task is not to manage their reaction, it is to remain coherent. Your evolution will make some people uncomfortable. That discomfort belongs to them. Stoicism does not ask you to seek permission to become stronger. It asks you to endure the friction strength creates. Quietly, steadily, without resentment. Your evolution is not an insult. It is evidence that you are still alive, and life, by its nature, moves forward. These 7 behaviors share a common thread. They survive not because they are powerful, but because they are tolerated. Stoicism never asks you to hate, to retaliate, or to sever ties in anger. It asks something far more demanding: clarity without bitterness, boundaries without drama, strength without cruelty. Family is often treated as an unconditional obligation, but Stoicism makes a crucial distinction. Obligation to virtue comes before obligation to people. Blood may explain proximity, but it does not excuse harm. Love that erodes dignity is not loyalty. Endurance that destroys character is not strength. Throughout this reflection, the goal was never to turn you against anyone. It was to turn you back toward yourself. to help you recognize patterns instead of excuses, to choose response over reaction, to withdraw access quietly when peace is repeatedly violated. Boundaries are not punishments, they are filters. They decide what is allowed to shape your inner life. When you stop tolerating what diminishes you, something shifts. The noise fades. The guilt weakens. Your mind becomes steadier, not because others changed, but because you did. Some relationships will adjust. When manipulation stops working, respect sometimes emerges. Others will not survive the loss of control. That outcome is painful, but it is honest. Stoicism teaches you to prefer truth over comfort, even when truth costs familiarity. You are not here to manage everyone's emotions. You are here to live in alignment with reason and virtue. Peace is not something you negotiate for. It is something you protect through consistent choice. So choose carefully where you give your time, your energy, your openness. Choose calm over chaos. Choose dignity over obligation. Choose character over approval. This is not abandonment, it is self-respect, and self-respect, practiced daily, becomes freedom.